Hello, church. Today our text comes from John 15, verse 4, and our theme is abide. Let's begin with our text together, shall we? In the Gospel of John, this one verse, so important, abide in me, and I will abide in you. A branch cannot bear fruit if it is disconnected from the vine, and neither will you if you are not connected to me. You know, it's been a little over 2 years ago when I had the pleasure to be the producer for the Disciples of Christ General Assembly, where our theme was Abide in Me, this text from the Gospel of John. And I developed this graphic to use each night. It was just a white kind of knotty branch where it had just the beginning of the bud of a flower and a grape on it. And the color behind that branch changed every single night, similar to the growth cycle that we would see on grapevine. As the colors change with its seasons, just like the grape leaf, where they become mottled and they changed, it helps us think deeply about this text. I love this text. It's one of my favorite verses in the Bible because it's so sensory. Those listening to Jesus would have known all too well about the grapevine, about how it served as an important source of income and jobs and sustainability for the ancient world, how it was also found at tables in every home from the simplest to the most grand. In the winter months, growth and development stop temporarily on a grapevine, and so it rests. This stage in viniculture is called the dormancy phase. And at this time, growers prune the vine and then they set it up for the upcoming growing season. And when they're doing that, as they're pruning, as they're training the vine, so to speak, they are two of the most important aspects for quality grape production. Understand me when I say pruning and training. So the growers decide how much and which parts of the previous season's growth to remove. And when they do that, what they're doing is regulating the vegetative growth. That's the shoots and the leaves. And the crop load at the same time, which are the grape clusters that you see. And when they do that, then the grapevine is able to produce quality grapes and optimum yield. It's a dance, definitely. And then in the early spring, after the dormancy phase is over, you begin to see those tiny buds that appear on the grapevine and they start to swell. And soon you see green leaves appear, and the appearance of the very first green leaves through the bud scales is what's called bud break, when the bud literally breaks open. And the growth is so slow at first, you wonder if you did the right thing. But as the temperature rises, the growth in the shoot, they elongate and they accelerate. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, the period of the most rapid growth begins, where the shoots can grow an average of 1 inch or more a day. It's mind-blowing. And as the days continue to warm up, the flowers bloom and then they shatter. Literally, they shatter. And that's when you begin to see the teeny tiny grapes that will eventually ripen into grape clusters. And that's when the berry size, it increases rapidly. As the sunlight and the warm temperatures, they become vital to the physiological functions of the grapevine, which you know from your botany classes is called photosynthesis. Now, the point in the growing season, when the ripening grapes begin to soften, is called veraison. It's the big technical term. But what happens is during that ripening phase, the color varieties gradually change from green to red to black, deep purple. And the green varieties become a little more translucent. The sugar starts to accumulate in the berries. And then that interval from that time period to harvest, it's different from every single variety of grape and depending on where you are in the world. And unlike many fresh fruits, listen to this carefully, grapes are then harvested fully ripe. You don't pick a grape early when you're using it. After they're picked, they don't become sweeter, like an orange does, for example. Timing is everything. So when Jesus encourages his followers to abide, to stay connected to the vine, to bear fruit, Jesus is saying this nourishment that we receive through our dormancy phase, when we're training ourselves, we're pruning out the things, when we allow the buds to appear and new life emerge, is the sweet phase no matter what season of life. And when we do that, when we cling to the vine, we show the world the breadth of God's love and hope and mercy. We must cling to the vine and rely on the timing of God that our lives will bear fruit to the world. In other words, if you're asking me, I'd say stay on the vine so you can be your juiciest self. So today, church, how are you abiding in the radical love of God in that way? Maybe as you encounter juice or wine, give thanks for the seasons of love and care that fill you so that you might also fill others in your wake and in God's name. Amen.